Meet the man who drove from London to Nigeria. Welcome to the news, and please subscribe to our channel to get notified when we drop hot, juicy news update. Please click on the notification bell. Thank you. Chief Newton Jibino is a renowned environmentalist, famous for driving alone from London, United Kingdom to Nigeria through the Sahara Desert in 1966. He shared his adventurous experience, childhood stories, and aspiration in this interview with Punch correspondent. Wow, he drove all the way from London, UK to Nigeria. No, my ears are itching. My ears are itching as yours. He is indeed an adventurous person. Stay with us. Let's unravel this together. The news in detail. You were only 27 when you drove from London to Nigeria through the Sahara Desert. Were you adventurous as a child? He replied, yes, I was. I think it was because I would call an unstable childhood parent development. I lost my parents when I was 3 and ended up living with uncles and friends of a family. So I moved around a lot, and I think that must have been what the adventurous spirit started, because suddenly I found myself living with a school teacher. When they wanted to travel, they handed me over to another teacher. I lived in a boarding school, and then suddenly I could not continue. Most of the time I was not such a perfect boy, as it were, so I was sometimes kicked out. That was when I found out that I had an adventurous spirit in me. And when you get used to being adventurous, it catches up with you and holds you. This is the longest I have gone without embarking on an adventure, and I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel happy. I am a scientist, so they may have added wanting to innovate, invent, and try, even when I know it is not possible. All those things were embedded in my system. Took it, though it took me a long time to find out, because I found myself doing those things. I started with hunting with my uncle, who was a hunter, and I loved it. I loved mastering how to conquer fear. I've often said to my colleagues that any time I think back, I often remember the kind of things I did. I get to wonder how I survived, but could have been because of my adventurous nature. You were very young when you lost your parents. Do you have any memory of them? I can't even remember what they looked like, he answered. Did you ever know who they were? He replied, oh yes. So many times when you go through difficulties, you have to resort to your parents for counseling. But when I found myself in situations like that, a few times I got close to tears because I did not have my parents to fall back to. Did you have relatives to consult before you took your first trip in 1966? He replied, I had friends. Mainly, I had a younger sister, and Edith was her name. She lived with my aunt while I lived with my uncle, but she died when she was 13 and I was 16 or 17. I was told she went to school, came back with a fever, and died. I could not find her grave and nobody knew it. So I started Didi Museum in her name. The name came from the way I used to pronounce her name when I was a boy, because I had a speech problem. As far as I was concerned, my sister lives in the museum. The first day I saw snow in the UK was the day I managed to tell myself that I would not see my sister anymore. It happened 9 years after she died. However, my first trip was from London. So many relatives in Nigeria did not even know I was in London, let alone know I was trying to drive back from London. Everybody tried to stop me. A lot of them concluded that I was just looking for a way to kill myself. A girlfriend I had at the time was told, and she wrote me an emotional letter because we had ended a relationship, saying even though there was nothing between us, she was concerned about the journey I was about to embark on and thought I was going to die, and that it was not a very good way to die. On the night I was leaving London, a lot of friends gathered to say goodbye, and that was the most emotional scene I had ever seen, because a lot of them were in tears. Did you at that point think you would either end up dead in the desert? He replied, I have discovered that in adventures, you have to be ready to die. In those days, 50% of adventurers came back alive. I read Sir Francis Chichester's book. He was the first man to row around the world in a canoe. He talked about near-death situations he encountered. Death is inevitable anyway. We all must die. So since I knew that I would die someday, I said if I died adventuring, so be it. I must have been destined to go that way. But when you think about succeeding in doing it, there is that joy that you've done the impossible, because I must have been the first person to attempt a journey like that from London to Nigeria. That was what encouraged me. What did your first trip change about you? He replied, what changed was the fact that I had to believe in myself than I did before. I did not think about dying on a number of times. I felt like caving into what people said, including embassies that almost didn't give me visas because they thought I was just going there to kill myself. So occasionally I thought about packing the trip up, especially when my colleague, whom I was supposed to make the journey with, backed out. That worried me. Whenever you set your mind on doing anything, it is good to listen to counsel, but whatever decision you make is yours. The same thing happened in the second expedition. Again, people were scared. Even though it was many years later, right now, people say I am too old to embark on another trip. And there are Boko Haram, ISIS, another terrorist group in the desert. But there will always be security threats. Are you saying you're contemplating another adventure at 82? He replied, I was hoping you would not ask me that, but I don't know whether I will make another trip. I planned it 2 years ago, but the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs advised against it. If you want me to tell you that I will never try it again, I'll be lying to you. If I get the support and clearance I need, especially from the ministry, I will go on another expedition. I cannot promise I will not go on another expedition. Considering your humble childhood, how did you get to London from Nigeria? He replied, I had my primary and secondary education in the old Midwest region. Came to Lagos in 1957 and I got a job after my secondary education. In those days, I sought employment and got 3 jobs, but the one that mattered to me the most was the one at the Federal Ministry of Works, because I was good in science-related subjects and was moving towards engineering. It also provided me the opportunity to advance. I attended medical school in the Eastern and Midwest regions, but I attended Agbogidi Primary School, Apoku Igbo, in my hometown. I think I attended 3 or 4 different secondary schools. So when I got a job with the ministry, there was an opportunity to attend evening classes at Yaba High School, now Yaba College of Technology, mainly to also prepare me for any future education in engineering. I hadn't even finished the semester when I took a scholarship exam and left the country in 1961, initially for a diploma for Cranfield Institute of Technology, now Cranfield University, UK. It was when I completed my program there that I decided to embark on that trip. Okay, this is beautiful. On this note, we've come to the end of the note. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.